Hello, my name is Janelle Farmer and I'm going to be your student science teacher this year at Faith Home. I'm making this video so we can start our school year off right. If you were at the Meet the Teacher event on Monday, you received several different pieces of paperwork from me. I'd like to go over those so you can make sure you're following along. The first thing is my actual notes that I'm going to be covering during this video. All right, so it'd be helpful if you had these out. Next, you would have received an invoice. For the beginning of the school year, you need to have the supply fee covered. It is reduced from what we initially started because we are meeting online. Third, there should have been a colored sheet of paper in your mailbox. This one happens to be anatomy. I think I have a blue, a red, I don't remember the different colors. Key important for your student to have so they know what is due when. If you notice, for week 1, there is work mentioned. That is not what we are going to do in class. That is what they need to have done before class. So for anatomy, they have to have so many pages read and questions answered. That will be the same for all of my classes. So please make sure your student has this and can follow along with what homework they need to do. All right, now in the top of that page of the teacher notes in yellow, I have down that your student needs to text me some things. They are going to text me at this phone number. They're going to give me their first and last name and what class they're going to be in. This is essential because as we get a little bit closer to the school year, I will be emailing them their own personal email that they'll be using to get into my Google Suites. All right. Google has provided a chance for educators to set up a platform where we can communicate with our students and be able to get work from them and show them their grades. Every student will have an email that looks like this, except it will be their first and last name here. So mine happens to be Janelle Farmer at the Sciences, yes, there's an S at the end, lady.com. I will also be giving them a temporary password, so then they'll be able to use that to get into that particular Gmail and set up their own password. A private Gmail account will not work to get into the Google Classroom that I am setting up. Every student needs to have their own Google email from my domain. All right, so that needs to be taking place right away so I can then make sure I get them that information. If you were not there on Monday and you need to get the information of all the paperwork I just talked about, you also need to email me at this address so I can then attach the syllabus and the video notes and all of those things to you. All right, let's go ahead and make sure you have the correct books. We'll start off with physics. Physics is going to need the Apologia 2nd edition textbook and a scientific calculator. It does not have to be fancy. All right. Chemistry, also using the 2nd edition Apologia textbook that they're going to need. All right, when it gets to anatomy, it gets a little bit more complex, if you want to say. They're going to need to use the Advanced Biology book, which is our Human Anatomy and Physiology book. Along with that, they need 2 consumable things. They're going to need to use the student notebook to put their answers in and a Kaplan coloring book, excuse me. It can be a variety of editions. I happen to have the front sleeve of a 7th edition. It could also be a 6th edition. Might be more difficult to get older ones, but it doesn't matter which edition because in your packet of information that you picked up on Monday night would have been this sheet, which says it's the Anatomy Coloring Book Guide. No more page numbers like I've given off in the past. Instead, I've done titles. Every coloring book has the same information. They just decide to change up the page numbers, which of course is frustrating. So your student is going to want to pay attention to this to know what pages they need to color for each week. So week 1, there are 2 sections. One of those sections has 3 pages that goes with it. So they're going to want to pay attention to this. Now, the way they're going to color it is to use my coloring guide. All right, that way I can make sure the students are able to identify the right part. So every time in the diagram there's an A, they're going to color it this raspberry color. B, a light brown. To make sure that their colors coincide with the coloring guide, they need to buy a Crayola 50 pack of colored pencils, all right? These colored pencils go along with these colors, so that way they know they have every color. All right, moving on. First off, let me say about these 3 textbooks, I know there are solution manuals that come with them. They are not required by me to be purchased. If you do happen to purchase a solution manual, please keep that out of your students' reach. All right, we do not want them to be tempted to do something that they shouldn't and compromise their integrity. So solution manuals are definitely optional. I go through all of the answers with the students, so it's not like you would ever need to check their work, and it definitely needs to be something that does not or is not accessible to the student. All right, my last class for the younger ones is biology. We use Abeka here for this, and it is the 3rd edition. You want to make sure it has the purple stripe. This one is the textbook. Yours probably won't have this fancy binding around it, and then they also need a lab manual. Yours won't be bound. It will just be a regular, it won't be spiral bound, it'll be a regular bound book. If there's pages out of the lab manual, that's okay. I provide the pages that are missing. What's important is the directions that are inside of it for the student to be able to pay attention. So those are all the supplies that your student is going to need. Also, which I didn't mention, is a dissection kit for both anatomy and biology. I'm not going to purchase them. I'm not going to charge you yet, but in case whenever we do get back to traditional learning, which I'm hoping to be very soon, there might be some dissections that we do right off the bat. So I want them to be able to have an opportunity to use those dissection kits. So those are $10, and there was a sign-up list on Monday for you to put your student's name down if they did not have one. If you have to email me and asking me for the information, please let me know also if your student needs a dissecting kit. All right, that goes through their supplies there. Let's talk about Zoom classes. Obviously, that's how we have to start out. Not ideal for anyone, but we're gonna make the best out of it. All of my classes will be the exact same time as if we were meeting in a traditional setting. So all on Fridays, all right? And what's really important for your student is that they log on during that time frame. All right, not thinking, oh, I'm gonna have her, she's gonna record it and send it up later. No, I will not. They need to be logged on at that time using their video feature. All right, I'm really going to be a stickler about that. If your student is not showing their face in class, that means they're not being an active participant. I'm not making sure, or I can't tell if they're listening or not, that I'll be calling or texting parents, and the students will get points marked off of their grades. So please, parents, make sure they have a device they can use on Fridays that has the video feature. All right, the next part of my notes is talking about a typical day. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys read through that. Some of that obviously might change as we're going through this online learning. Test procedures. The students will regularly be taking tests over chapters once we finish them. They will need to take those with all of their material put away. They are not open book tests. In the past, I sent them home in a brown envelope, which was easier for mom to hold on to until it was time for test time. This will be a part of the Google Classroom. Like I said, this platform is going to allow me to communicate with your students. Weekly emails are going to be put on the platform. Assignments are going to be put on there. All of their assignments that they're going to turn into me will need to be done through Google Classroom. And as it gets closer, I will be emailing and sending out a video explaining how to use that. If you're familiar already with it, then you know it's an easy platform to do. But their tests are also going to come through that. So they're going to need to take it with everything else put away. Also, you'll be able to see their grades there. All right, projects. This is one of the last things I'm going to be talking about. Because we are having to do online learning, I still would like your students to have some socializing. So I am going to be assigning group projects for students to meet outside of the classroom together. It might be at a park, they could possibly be at a Starbucks, someplace, doesn't have to be in somebody's home, but in a location where they can socialize and work on their school projects together. I'll talk more to the students about that, looking for who lives close to each other, who might already know each other, but I really am going to work on incorporating that type of project so the students have a chance to still get together. All right, in conclusion, missed classes, you need to let me know. You don't get a free pass. There's still homework and worksheets and tests that all still need to be completed, even if you're going to miss a class. So you need to let me know about that. I already mentioned that you'll be able to check grades on the Google platform. And then the last two sections is what I'm doing right now, trying to communicate with you and make sure you are aware of how classes are going to run and let you know how excited I am to start working with your students on September 11th. Thank you.